Hello there, hello there. You are someone, and I am someone else. And today, we are going to be reviewing the last 4 articles of the United States Constitution. Article 4 has 4 sections. Article 5 has 1, Article 6 has 1, and Article 7 has 1. We are going to review every single article, or every single one of those 4 articles. Article 4, I will get to the part where they amended it. There is an amendment that changed the part of the 4th Amendment, sorry. So, that being said, the 4th Amendment has been changed, 4th article has been changed a little bit by one of the amendments. I forgot which amendment. I did write it down in the book. I wrote it down in the book, so... but I will read now the United States Constitution. Article 4. Okay. Here we go. Section 1. Article 4, Section 1. Full faith and credit shall be given in each state to public acts, records, and judicial proceedings of every other state, and Congress may, by general law, prescribe in matter in such acts, records, and proceedings shall be proved and effect thereof. Section 2. The citizens of each state shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens in the several states. A person charged with treason or felony or other crime shall flee from justice, be found in another state, shall, on demand of the executive authority of the state from which he's fled, be delivered on upon to be removed to the state having jurisdiction of the crime. Okay, this is the part that's been changed by the 13th Amendment. So it's the slavery one. So, no person shall be held in service or labor in one state under the laws thereof, escaping into another, shall, in consequence of any other law or regulation therein, be discharged from service or labor, but shall be delivered up on the claim of the party whose service or labor may be due. So basically, when slaves ran away, that's what so that part of the section, the no person held to service, that whole section was basically slaves running away, and they got rid of it. It was called the Fugitive Slave Clause of the fourth article on Section 2. Anyway, we're done Section 2 technically, so all that stuff where we discharge it to a private party, that's basically what they mean. It's a private party, really. It's not just the claim of the party whose service or labor may be due. So basically, if you're a slave, your labor will be forever, basically. It's kind of dumb, but okay. Section 3. New states will be admitted by the Congress into this union, but no new states shall be formed or erected within the jurisdiction of any other state, nor any state be formed by the jurisdiction of 2 or more states or parts of states without the consent of the legislators of the states concerned, as well as of the Congress. The Congress shall have the power to dispose and needfully rules and regulations respecting the territory and other property belonging to the United States, and nothing in this Constitution shall be so construed to the prejudice of any claims of the United States or of any particular state. Section 4. The United States shall guarantee every state in this union a republican form of government, and shall protect them against invasion on the application of the legislature or of the executive when the legislature cannot be convened against domestic violence. Okay, we finished Article 4. We finished all 4 sections. Now we're on Article 5. This is the amendment article, by the way. So remember, Article 4 is the state article. Article 5 is the amendment article. Okay, we're gonna read it now. The Congress, whenever 2/3 of the houses shall deem it necessary, propose amendments to this Constitution, or the application of the legislatures of 2/3 of the several states, shall call a convention for proposing amendments, in which either case shall be valid in all intents and purposes as part of this Constitution, when ratified by the legislators of 3/4 of the several states, or by the conventions of 3/4 thereof, as one or the other mode of ratification may be proposed by the Congress, provided that no amendment which has been made prior to the year 1880 shall have any matter to affect the first and fourth clauses of the 9th section of the first article, and that no state without the consent shall be deprived of its equal suffrage in the Senate. So basically, I think that that's like the slave trade. So basically, it doesn't ban the slave trade, but it does allow them to tax. That's what that 1,808. I didn't underline that. I should have, but it's okay. Basically, it's a very old thing. It's not in the Constitution anymore. But other than that, pretty much all those clauses, yeah. For the most part, is, Okay, so this is the supremacy article. So Article 6. So we just finished Article 5. Article 6. All debts contracted or engagements entered into applications of this adoption of this Constitution, shall be valid against the United States under this Constitution as under the Confederation. This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be pursuant thereof, all treaties made, or which shall be made, under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the convention or laws of any state, the contrary notwithstanding. The senators and representatives may mention as members of the several state legislatures, and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution, but no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office under public trust under the United States. Very important, I guess. Yeah. Okay, this is the ratification article. So, this is Article 7. This is the last article we're going to read. So we're basically almost done the U.S. Constitution. However, I will make another video after we're done reading this. I will explain. The ratification of the conventions of 9 states shall be significant for the establishment of this Constitution between the states so ratifying the same, done in convention by the unanimous consent of the states present in the 17th day of September in the year of our Lord 1787, and the independence of the United States of America the 12th. In witness thereof we have and here inscribed our names. And then here's the signatures. George Washington, President and Deputy from Virginia. New Hampshire, John Lincoln and Nicholas Gilman. Massachusetts, Nathaniel Gorham, Rufus King. Connecticut, William Samuel Johnson, Roger Sherman. New York, Alexander Hamilton. New Jersey, William Lixon, David Brearley, William Pattison, Jones Dayton. I don't know if I'm pronouncing any of these names right, by the way. I'm terrible with names. We still got a few more states to do. Hold on. Pennsylvania, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Muffin, Robert Morse, George Clymer, Thomas Simons, Gerald Islor, James Wilson, Governor Morris. Delaware, George Reed, Gunning Bedford June, John Dickinson, Richard Bassett, Jacob Broome. Maryland, James McHenry, Dan of St. Thomas Jennifer, Danielle Keller. Virginia, John Blair, James Madison Jr. North Carolina, William Blount, Richard D. Splout. I don't think this is Hugh Wilson. Man, these are all abbreviated, so they're not even real names. What the heck? Okay. South Carolina, J. Hamage, Charles Closworth Pinckney, Charles Pinckney, Pierce Butler. Oh, Butler. I'm sorry. Pierce Butler. Georgia, William Few, Aaron Baldwin, attest. William Jackson, secretary. I guess he was the secretary of the meeting. Okay. At the convention. Okay. We're on to we're going to be on to our next episode. The next episode, we're going to talk about the Bill of Rights, baby. I don't think you could see it. The Bill of Rights. And there are 10 Bill of Rights. We will read that in the next episode, however. And then we will go to we'll talk about, I don't know how many amendments I want to put after. I do probably want to split up the amendments in 3 episodes because there's 27 of them. And the Bill of Rights obviously makes a good start. Good starting 10. So I do like the next 10 amendments, or because again they are passed so distantly. Like I would like to separate the civil rights amendments to the prohibition amendments. I would like to have two different episodes. But anyway, Article 4 was about basically what the states could and could not do under the Constitution, and it doesn't look like there was a lot of words there. That's kind of concerning that they don't. They did talk about how to make new states, and they talked about that Congress has the full rights of to control the territory or whatever. But a lot of the things that I'm concerned about is like who controls the schools? The federal government, well, obviously the states. I guess any local matters would be controlled by the states. It does seem like the courts are controlled by the states, but again, if they violate the federal constitution, which is the supremacy clause of Article 6, technically Article 6 can technically, like, the states aren't really sovereign compared to the constitution or whatever, but, you know, that's kind of an argument you could make. Again, I don't know a whole lot about, again, some of these, again, they talked about, again, I completely forgot about it. I keep saying again. The whole slavery thing, the year, it was 808, like the whole slavery trade. I completely forgot to underline it. But yeah, that's been banned by the 13th Amendment, I think, or 14th Amendment. 100% certain. I know the 14th Amendment gave them citizenship, but 13th Amendment banned slavery. 14th Amendment gave them citizenship. 15th Amendment gave black men the right to vote, not black women, only black men. But it's just like, you know, you think about it, in the Constitution, a lot of the amendments have caused at least the first article, man, the first article has changed so much. I mean, you think about the Senate, and it doesn't represent the states at all anymore. It represents the same thing as the House of Representatives. It represents the people. The problem was that was not the original intention of the Senate. The Senate was supposed to be appointed by the states, and the states were, again, chosen by the people. I mean, yes, you were indirectly choosing a senator. And I'm all for the fact that the 17th Amendment, like, I don't like the 17th Amendment. Personally, I think that it's way too liberal, in my opinion, or way too, like, pro-democratic or whatever. I think that it didn't actually do its job. The whole goal of the 17th Amendment was to make sure there was less corruption. The problem is, as soon as that 17th Amendment happened, there was more corruption. It actually was completely not useful at all for what it was intentionally designed to do. In some ways. So I like the fact that the states would make private meetings and appoint senators instead. Although they did have, again, they were technically an election. They had to get it done within that 1/3 of that those 2-year time frames. Because every time the senators, right, before 1917, again, they would have to, those state legislators would have to get those senators in there, or else, well, I guess they could, technically, they don't have to wait. I mean, they could, but then they wouldn't have any vote for their state. So there was all incentive to, you know, get that senator in there. And the senator, I would say the Senate was like very conservative before that whole amendment was passed. That's really like one of the biggest changes of the Senate. It's ridiculous how much has changed. House of Representatives has changed because we count everyone as a citizen except for the territories. We don't count any territorial citizens. And we also have one territory where you're not a citizen at all, American Samoa. People keep forgetting that one. But American Samoa, people in American Samoa are not American citizens. It doesn't say in the Constitution, but it is 100% true. American Samoa has made a deal with the U.S. government saying that they are part of the United States, but they are, I guess they didn't make that deal. The United States made it for them. But that's a whole nother issue that I just can't, territories are weird. Puerto Rico is one of their official languages is Spanish and English. So they have two official languages, and I've never been to Puerto Rico, but I can imagine they have a very different culture because 80% of them can speak really good Spanish. So, I mean, English is definitely taught, don't get me wrong, and if you're not good at English, it's going to be very difficult to culturally assimilate with the States. But I think the one solution probably for that would be either get Puerto Rico to learn English, which would probably be a little bit easier, to be honest with you, but I don't think Puerto Rico would allow it. Or it would probably be easier to convince, because English speakers are not that nationalistic, it would probably be easier to convince some English speakers to learn Spanish so we can at least get on board with becoming... Puerto Rico should be a state in all intents and purposes. It really should be. It has a higher population than 21 states. The only reason it isn't is because economically and culturally they're very different than the rest of the states. But I think once the economics, I mean, I don't know, because again, the economy could, for whatever reason, I think Puerto Rico's minimum wage is even lower than ours here in the United States. I don't know how you'd fix that problem. How would you fix the economy of Puerto Rico? Hurricanes are hitting like literally every year, and the people there just can't afford to build up the infrastructure. So, I mean, there's got to be a way to fix it, but I'm not smart enough to do that. I think the best thing Puerto Rico can do, and right now their government does this, and it's really stupid, is they hire taxes. Well, if Puerto Rico was a little bit less corrupt, right? Just a little bit less corrupt. If they decided they wanted to lower taxes and let the people voluntarily trade like the rest of the United States, and also that stupid ship port law where it's like, a ship can't enter the United States port, or a foreign ship can't enter a United States port 2 times or something, or a United States ship it has to go back to its original port. I don't remember what the law is, but that has caused trillions of dollars of trade to be lost because of that law. And that makes me kind of mad too. There's a lot of laws where if we could fix them, we could be an economic powerhouse once again. I think that our growth rate in the United States, and I think our Constitution doesn't address those things. And that's why I'm reading, what's the other book? Free to Choose by Milton Friedman. He actually brings up amendments that would help expand our resources in the United States. That would help us build our resources again. Because I see now the roads are abysmal, the people are angry, they're paying more taxes, cutting people off on roads. It's just like, why? What's the purpose? Like, why are we living in this world if we can't improve it in some way, And these amendments that what's his name? Mr. Milton Friedman and Rose Friedman have proposed. They're beautiful. They're how to budget Congress. They're how to, obviously, if Congress followed that, we wouldn't be as wealthy as we are today. They spend ridiculous amounts of money making sure we're bribed to good. I think without welfare, I would not be here. But without rich people producing a lot of, or building up the capital to produce businesses that produce things for us, we would not be as wealthy as we are today. Businesses do produce wealth, regardless of what anyone says to anyone. Like, a business is just a bunch of documents. Yes, technically you could argue that. But it's the action of building a business and scaling it up that makes it wealthy. It's the action of Mr. what's his name, Bezos, making a supply chain that was never there before, and making it more efficient than the U.S. Post Office, making everyone's lives pretty much better. You could argue maybe not, but I don't know. Again, I work in one of the warehouses that are controlled by Amazon Fulfillment, right? So I know a little bit about how the supply chain works. Not entirely, but somewhat. I shouldn't be talking about that, but it's okay, right? I think private markets should be definitely it's probably in the bill, right, somewhere, but we have a lot of private markets, but I think we could do better. I think if we got government out of our lives a little bit more, like if we got rid of we would restrict the 16th Amendment a lot. Let these people with their college debt, don't let them pay tax. Why are we paying tax to a student loan program that most people are just going to go into anyway? Why not just get rid of the 16th Amendment, or, at least lower the taxes for the people in the 16th Amendment? Like, federal Congress should not have the power to do that. It should be only really the states, and then the states to send their money to the federal government. It shouldn't be the federal government gets to tax me directly, my Social Security. No, the states should be able to control their own Social Security. Because let's say the whole federal government collapses, right? Well, that's the only Social Security you're going to get. But now there's 50 different Social Security systems, right? In my opinion, this is better. I would argue that if one goes bust, you got 49 other Social Security systems. The problem is they want to create equality. But the problem is you're just going to create a big hierarchy instead of a bunch of small hierarchies, right? And the Constitution likes those three branches, the executive, judicial, and legislative. There are a bunch of hierarchies competing against each other for power in some ways. But they have definite power roles. They have, like Congress has the power to make a budget, but then the president can send it back with his amendment or with his veto. His veto and his amendment. He basically has to say, okay, this is what I don't like about the budget. And sometimes there's secrets on there. So they'll have nuclear weapons program, right? But it has money for ex-military. It doesn't say explicitly what it's for, because the public found out that we're building weapons, they would probably be pretty pissed off, right? So they do hide a little bit of secret stuff, I do think, in those budgets. But for the most part, everything has to be documented. That's the great thing about Article 1 of the Constitution. They talk about everything needs to be documented through Congress. I bet you there's a lot of security that Congress people have to go through. They can't just tweet out everything, Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I know the executive branch, oh my God, they've got a lot of classified material right there. Executive branch has probably some of the most classified material. Judicial branch, they just don't have anything classified, I don't think, on them. Judicial is always the weakest, in my opinion. Because, the president violated the Constitution, right? There's been, 2 or 3 presidents that completely violated the Constitution. And yet, guess what? The judicial branch just doesn't say, put the foot down on the president, you know what I mean? So in that regard, the judicial branch is a little bit weaker than the others. Obviously, I think it's always going to be the executive that's going to be more powerful, because it's the one guy who can make decisions, right? It's supposed to be the House of Representatives that's supposed to be the most powerful. Out of all the 4 different groups of people, the House of Representatives, the Senate, the President, and the judicial branch. But it's obviously, or the Supreme Court, I should say, obviously it's the President, because he can make quick decisions with his executive orders. He could technically he made a law banning some certain types of guns, and now it's becoming president, and now the Congress is starting to agree with him. So once things become precedent, in our system of government, it becomes accepted. The Supreme Court starts to accept it, or if they're saying this is unconstitutional, then they'll go and they'll pass it through the legislature, which they should. They shouldn't be building executive orders. There should be technically, theoretically, there is no limit to executive orders, in my opinion. Or at least I haven't seen anything. The only check to executive order is a judicial review, or a Congress saying that the president can't do it, I think. But judicial review is generally the more common. But even then, the president can still act on it if there's 1 or 2 people. But yeah. Anyway, you are someone, and I am someone else. We just read, 4 articles today. which isn't that much, to be honest with you, because they're the smallest articles in the Constitution. Goodbye.